Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we have a Toshiba laptop. I'm actually kind of excited about this because it appears to be a motherboard issue. This thing has no life whatsoever. We got charger plugged in, got no lights, and if we turn on, I believe the power button is like right there. Yeah. Nothing. Nothing. Now. So yeah, I think it's the jack looks good, so I don't believe it's the jack. I believe it's a motherboard issue, and I've actually been watching just hours upon hours of component level motherboard repair and stuff like that. That's something I'd really would love to do and learn, and this could be the real first computer that I get to play around with that. Luckily, it's our computer, so if I screw it up royally, no big deal. But with that being said, let's do the basics and take this thing apart. There's a couple screws missing, looks like, but there's 3 screws there, a couple screws down here, so let's just remove all the screws we see. Okay, so we have it apart, and let's just take this bottom piece off. Let's get a spudger and throw it in underneath here. So yeah, I believe this has already been taken apart because I'm pretty sure the hard drive's been removed from it. So that's why it's coming apart pretty easy. Could also be why those screws are missing. Okay. Alright, so right now I just want to we'll try a couple basic things. We're gonna plug the charger in. Get my multimeter and make sure we got voltage coming in. Make sure it's not the charger. There, you can see that there. Okay. So this is the connector for the charger. So there's just black and red wire, so I'm just going to put the black probe on the black wire area and red on red. And we have 19.2 volts coming in, so we know the charger is good. Okay, so let's try just again stick with the basics and take the charger out. Take the battery out. Leave the CMOS battery in for now. Open it up a little bit now with nothing plugged in. Hit the power button a couple times. Plug the charger back in. Still no lights, nothing like that. Nothing. Okay. So now what? And I'm sure this video is going to be a lot of me just pausing. I'm sure there'll be a lot of edits of me just trying to remember what to do, looking up information, research and stuff, all that stuff. So I apologize if this video seems scattered, but I'm just basically recording myself trying to do this for the first time. Alright, so at this point, I think the first thing we want to do is see what kind of voltage we're getting on the power button, just because I know where that is. So if we're getting around what, 3.3 volts, then that means that that rail is good, and that should mean that our main power rail, 19 volts, is good, because if I understand correctly, the 19 volt power rail is the main rail, and then a bunch of little rails, power rails, shoot off of that, like the 3 volt rail, the 5 volt rail, which is usually for like the USBs, 3 volts usually for like the power button, BIOS, a couple other chips probably. Then there's also other voltages like 1.5, 1.8, 1.2, lower voltages, stuff for the RAM and the CPU. But everything comes off of that 19 volt rail, so this will be a good test. Now, let's see, I'm not sure if I'll be able to show you guys this and keep the voltmeter, multimeter. I guess that'll have to do. Alright, so we're gonna test this power button, see if we're getting any voltages. So, I'm just gonna put my black probe on ground, and then we'll do this pin, and we'll get nothing, and this pin, we get nothing. So we're getting no voltage, so we got nothing, no 3.3, so we might have issues with our main power rail. I'm going to unplug the charger, put this in my multimeter in continuity mode so you can hear the beep. I think this power button's not working. I should be able to not, like when I go up on these two different points. They should not connect, but they do. This power button could be bad. But I don't think that would... I think we'd still get voltage. What's supposed to happen is when I touch those two, you're not supposed to hear anything, and then when I push the power button in, that's when you hear beep. But that's just giving a beep instantly, so that power button could be bad. Alright, so that's one thing, just remember that. I'm going to plug the charger back in and put my multimeter back on volts. And let's see what else. So typically the power rails work as, you got these MOSFETs and this inductor, and that's usually a power supply. Like you can see down here is probably for the RAM area. Those are probably two, 4 MOSFETs, 2 per inductor. So that's probably changing the voltage down to whatever the RAM needs, which is probably 1.5, something like that. And these little power supplies are all over the motherboard. So we need to find the main one. So what I'm going to do is unplug the charger actually put my multimeter back on continuity mode and put one probe on. Down here is the positive side of the power DC jack, and I'm going to just kind of try and follow. I mean, it looks like it's probably going to go over there. Alright, so it goes to that. Let's not go to that. Oh, it does go to that. It's probably a fuse. Okay. So it goes to this. Okay, so it goes to that. So we should be able to plug in the charger, put multimeter on volts mode. You might just have to take my word for it, or maybe I'll zoom out a little bit and kind of know the general area. It's the wrong way. Okay. So, black probe on ground. And we'll just use this one, right? You can't see because my hand is in the way. And we have 19 volts going to there. And then it should pop out the other side. 8 volts. Okay. Let's try this again. So, 19 volts. 0.8 volts. Okay, so I did a little research on the data sheet for this MOSFET, and it's an N-channel MOSFET, and basically this side, this side's the drain. These 3 pins are the source, and pin 4 is the gate. So what should happen is when that gate pin gets a certain amount of voltage, I believe in this case higher than the voltage on the drain side, it'll open the MOSFET and pass current through. And it looks like that's not happening because we only have the 0.8 volts. So we'll look and we'll see. So we got our 19 volts on this side. All 4 of these pins are together, so it doesn't matter. And then these first 3 pins down here are 0.8, but this 4th pin should be the gate. What's that getting? And that's getting 0.8, and I believe that voltage is supposed to be higher than the 19. And it's not, so this is not open. Let's see, I believe this is most likely probably part of it as well, so what do we get here? 0.8 volts. 0.8 volts. Okay, what do we get over here? 0.8. 0.9. 0.8. Resistors. Just kind of probing around this area. Coil, we're getting 0.9. So I think our problem is that something is partially shorted maybe, and pulling some of that voltage down to ground, and that's why we're not getting the full voltage. So now I'm going to put it in continuity mode, and Well, see if we have any shorts to ground. Just one probe on ground. No. Okay. See if maybe these are somehow shorted. Okay, so this MOSFET is shorted, and it should not be. So I wonder if this MOSFET is the problem, or if it's just something on this rail after this MOSFET that's causing the short. So I think what we can do is remove this MOSFET and see if the short goes away. I'll have to take the board out for that, probably be the safest bet. So let's do that. Okay, so the motherboard's out, pretty much everything's out of it. Actually, I'm gonna flip this over and see if maybe there's anything underneath this. Okay, so this has just, you know, this plastic over it, like this adhesive plastic film here, which I think they do to try and minimize, you know, if you spill water in this thing, it doesn't get onto the components. It doesn't look like there's anything major on here that we care about. So it looks like everything's going to be focused just on this side of the board. Okay, so this is that MOSFET in question. So I'm going to get my hot air station set up, and I'll be back. Okay, so I got the hot air station set up, and here's the board. I'm going to remove that little piece of plastic, and actually I'm going to put a little Kapton tape on this connector here, because, I mean, even though it's metal, but I think the inside, like those white pieces, are plastic, and I don't want to melt them, or try to melt them as little as possible. So I'm just going to cut a little piece of tape. And this chip right here is, I think it's called the Super I/O chip, or that's just what I've heard it referred to as, but basically it's an important chip. It controls everything, and basically once it gets the signal, which I think is about 3.3 volts, it'll tell every part of the laptop to turn on. We don't have voltage on that power button, so I'm going to think we don't have voltage on this. So I believe this is the BIOS chip, actually, so we could check that, but I don't have that plugged in right now. I want to worry about that. So I'll put a little bit of flux on this chip, and let's try and remove it. Just had my tweezers in my hands. Where'd they go? Come on. Ah, there we go. Alright. Okay. Just gonna try and kind of warm up the area a little bit, just so that the board absorbs some heat. Let's see. Alright, so we have this chip off. Put it aside. Grab my multimeter. Put it back in continuity mode so you can hear the beep. And let's see, do we still have a short over here? And we do not. Do we have a short on this MOSFET now that it's out of circuit? We do. So let's see if maybe we have. I'm gonna just look through our scrap motherboards and all that fun stuff and see if we have anything that we can use as a replacement. Otherwise, maybe could probably just use a jumper and force the 19 volts to probably the source side of it, or the drain side, depends on what kind of MOSFET that this is. I'm gonna have to do some research, but I will be right back. Okay, so I found an old Sony laptop that appears to have some similar type MOSFETs. I don't know if they'll actually work, but we'll give them a shot. These are N-channel ones. I think one of them is almost has the exact same specs on the data sheet than the one that I took off, but it also has a Schottky diode in it. I have no idea what that will do, if it's compatible, but what I want to try first is I have the charger. I want to plug it in and just kind of check our voltages now that we remove this this MOSFET. Just see if anything has changed. I mean, clearly it should stop and no power should go to where it's removed, but maybe the 19 will come out on the other side. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, got it plugged in. Got my multimeter set up. And let's see what we got. There, we still have 19. Oh, see there, now we have 19. So where does it go from here? Still have 0.8. Okay, so now we have 19 there. What about at the gate? Okay, so the gate's at 24, which means this would turn on and send voltage to here. So that might actually be the problem. So let's take one of these other MOSFETs off this donor board and get my air station all set. And I mean, again, I have no idea if this will actually work. But I hope so. The one I believe one of the ones down here are the ones that I was looking at the data sheet before that I wanted to take. I actually don't remember. Let me look at what I got written down. Actually, yeah, this is the one I'm going to want to try. It actually doesn't have the Schottky in it. It's an N-channel reduced QG fast switching MOSFET. Hopefully it's good enough. And where are my tweezers? My tweezers. Put a little bit of flux. Okay. Got it out and sent it flying. Where did it go? Might have to review the tape. I think it went under. Yeah. Under my hot air station. It's crazy. Okay. So, put that there. Okay, so now I just want to look at the data sheet. And all I'm doing is just Googling these part numbers and finding the data sheets on Google. It's pretty straightforward. If I had a better setup, I would show you guys, or if I was prepared, it's more likely. Okay, so pin 4 is the gate. So this is set up similarly. Okay, so we just need to look at this board. Go as close as I can get. Come on. Focus. Oh, just almost. Excuse me. Okay, so you see, looks like these are all connected. These are the source. That's the gate. So we gotta make sure that pin 4 is that one far right on the bottom. So let's turn on my soldering iron just to, might need it. Okay. So let's position this. And where's pin 1? Just trying to see where pin 1 is. Okay, so I need to orient it. It needs to go like this. Okay. Again, I have no idea if this is actually compatible or if this is just gonna burn. Either way, it'd probably make for a cool video. Just want to line this up. Probably have to, excuse me while I get my head in here and look. This is a pretty big component, it shouldn't be too hard. Okay, it looks like it's connected, or at least touching all the pads. And too much air, probably. Lower my air. Okay, that doesn't actually look soldered on nicely at all. use the camera to see if at least these are not bridged. I mean, it's not straight, that's for sure, but... Oh, let's get the broken one, failed one, off. Keep that close, just in case we need to try and order one. I mean, they're making a connection. They're good, but it's not straight. But that might have to just do for now. Let's touch it up with the soldering iron. Oh, you can't see, sorry. I just put some flux and I'm just gonna try and touch up these with soldering iron. Okay. Clean it off with a little bit of alcohol and a toothbrush that I have no idea where it is. There it is. Okay, gonna zoom out a little bit. And I'll probably get this wrong. So, oh no, hey, I got it right this time. Gonna zoom out a little bit. Gonna plug it in, and we're gonna hope we don't get smoke or anything, and we're gonna test some voltages. Okay. Alright, so where's this charger? Okay. I don't see any smoke. It's plugged in. It's not getting hot, this area. Okay. Let's check some voltages. Okay, so now should go there. We got 19. Here, 19. What's the gate at? Gate's higher, so it's turned on. What do we got over here? 19. 19. So that means the gate's higher, turned on. Awesome. Let's check. Let's check this power button. Let's see if we have anything over here. So I'm gonna plug it back in. Ground. Still have nothing at the power button. Wow. Something low at the power button. Let's check some of these other. I'm gonna check some of these other components. I think this chip right there is the BIOS, and I don't know. I think it's pin 8 that has the power, or not? Pin 1. Oh yeah, this would be pin 8. Pin 4? Oh, whatever it is. Looks like we don't have any 3. That 9 can go in here. So let's check some of these other coils. I just don't know if these are supposed to get power when they turn on. There's something missing. Something getting hot. check around. Sorry. Check around some of these. Yeah, it's like the 3 volts isn't actually going. Does this thing have another problem? So, what's this? Nothing. Okay, so at this point, I'm just poking around looking for some voltages, looking for that 3.3 volts. Can't find it. I believe it's not being created. The 19 volts looks fine, but that BIOS power button and that Super I/O chip are not getting 3 volts, which I believe is why this thing still doesn't work. At this point, I'm stuck, not entirely sure what to do next, so I'm going to upload this video, make it a part 1, in hopes that people watch it and have suggestions and maybe know where to point me to try next. Hopefully that works. I'm going to continue plugging along, seeing if I can find the chip that creates the 3 volt. There's probably a regulator somewhere on here. Maybe that's the problem. But without a schematic, I'm just going to be poking around blind. So if anyone can help, please feel free to leave a comment. And as always, thanks for watching.